Let's have a conversation.
What's up, everybody? Instead of waiting till tomorrow, I'm diving right into this challenge, season 39, episode 8 recap. And the episode was kind of spicy. It was kind of spicy. So I'm just going to jump into my notes here. So it shows the little recap that it shows of the previous episode. It shows Michelle saying that she misses Callum. But like I said, it seems like Devin actually did her a favor, even if he was not intending for it to be a favor. He did her a favor. It shows Jay leading a group of people saying, we got to think about who we want out before the finals, who would be dangerous in the finals. And Jay is saying Zara would be dangerous in the finals. Olivia is saying that she doesn't want to go against Melissa. Melissa and Big T are names that are being thrown out a lot, but a lot of people are saying, Melissa is the bigger physical threat. So it seems like Melissa is a name that a lot of people have in their minds for who they would pick if they get to pick for who would be going straight into the elimination. It shows a video of Big T calling Kyle and his son, who's named Crew. So Kyle and Crew were talking to Big T. Kyle found a way to probably be the funniest person in the episode, aside from Asaf, who was randomly funny. I mean, I feel like he's funny here and there, but I felt like everything that he was saying was kind of funny in this episode. But anyways, Kyle was very funny when he was talking to Big T. His son was cute. He said, unfortunately, the son looks like me. And then he said, I would have protected you if I was there. Give me all the names of all the people who are going against you, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to take all of them out for you. Good old Kyle. I miss Kyle on the challenge. And shout out to Wes also because, Wes, I believe, was the first person I've seen do this where he called a challenger. And since then, they've had a couple of people do that. So that's kind of a thing now, it looks like. So it shows Corey and Melissa having a conversation. Remember in the last episode, Corey was like, I've been lying to Big T and Melissa this whole time. I've just been trying to get intel from them. I was never really working with them, blah, blah, blah. Melissa basically says, so Corey surprisingly says to Melissa, hey, I wish that I know that I lost your trust and I wish that it hadn't gone that way. However, I would love to regain the trust. And Melissa basically told Corey, I forgive you, but I'm just not going to trust you again in the game. Which makes sense. Obviously, I wouldn't trust him again either if I were her or Big T. So then we had this game called the Tower of Power. I don't remember what it was called before, but we've seen iterations of this in eliminations. We've seen it in one-on-ones, two-on-twos. We've seen CT win one of them masterfully. We've seen CT lose one of them to Jay. That was quite something. And so we get two different teams. And I guess because it's chaos, the team that was lined up on the top and the team that was lined up on the bottom, TJ was like, well, top row, you're a team. Bottom row, you're a team. And it just went like that. So it heavily focused on Kyland and Jay. Kyland on one side and Jay on the other side. So it was interesting having a team version of the game where you barricade the door and then the other team has to go and unravel and move the pieces of whatever you put there out of the way. Us as viewers, it's kind of hard to tell who did a better job, but they depend on the narration to let us know like what's going on. So they really focused in on the fact that Jay has won this before, and Jay kind of has a strategy to it, making the knots as complicated as possible. And then they kind of also focused on how Kylan and Azah did this before and they lost. But then Kylan was like, oh, I've had a lot of time to think about this. So that means that I know exactly what to do. And he kind of led the charge. It showed one of the chains hitting him in the face and he started bleeding. But before then, it showed that he was the one who spent most of the time tying the knot on the door, which they seem to undo or unravel rather easily. And everybody had a lot to say about Kylan when it comes to that. So Jay's team won, which was the orange team. So they got the task, they got delegated the task of picking one woman to go directly into the elimination. So they huddle around, they decide, and the decision I think they had already kind of thought of way beforehand because they were talking about it since the beginning of the episode. So they end up putting Melissa in there. Melissa's not happy about that. And so we go from there. So we get into this club scene. Oh, before then, it showed a little thing of Asaf saying that he wants Kylan out because Kylan will be gunning for them because of putting Melissa in there. And they're saying that Kylan would be a threat, which he would. I mean, there are certain things that he might not be good at, but we actually saw that he was quite good on the Challenge USA. Maybe even a little bit better than I expected. So Melissa was going around the club telling some lies, trying to smoke people out and figure out who was the linchpin or who was the main person or people that started off the chain that decided to put her in there. So eventually she gets to Raven. I guess Raven was her friend in there, I suppose. So Raven and her start having this discussion. And Melissa's like, what's going on? Why would you vote me in? Why would you vote for me to go in? And Raven is telling her, well, the vote was already 6-3. What is my vote going to do anyways? I can't overpower a large group of people that want to put you in. And if you're going to be mad at everybody because it was not a me thing. It was a team thing. And Melissa's like, oh, no, I'm mad at you. You're supposed to be my friend. You're supposed to be my ally. Raven is like, that has nothing to do with the game. I never made any promises to you in the game. Then out of nowhere, we have this moment out of nowhere. And I watched it back a few times. And I'll tell you why I watched it back a few times. Well, one, I was like, this is so random. And then I was like, is this real? Did they plan that out for the drama? But then I'm looking at Raven's reaction and I'm like, she doesn't look too happy with that. And she still seems mad in the next scene. So it's probably legit. Well, so my thing is, those kind of moments were nothing in the previous challenge. But in today's challenge, this type of stuff rarely happens. And when it does, people usually go home. So, wasn't there a moment where somebody splashed a drink in somebody's face and they went home? There was some kind of recent moment like that. And I know there was like the Josh and Fessy stuff. And it's just like today's game that doesn't really fly. They're like, oh, you cannot throw drinks on people. That's assault. So unfortunately, this ends your time here in the house. So honestly, that's what I was wondering. I was like, are they going to kick Melissa out for throwing this drink? I mean, I know that Raven threw her drink back at her as a response, but That was a response. And then it showed Asaf talking about, I don't remember exactly how he said it, but it was so funny. He was talking about his shirt or whatever, where he got his shirt from. And he was saying, I felt a little wine splash on my shirt. And it's from whatever store that he said it was from. That was just random and hilarious. But yeah, nothing came of that. Nor do I think it should. It's just that I don't like how the rules are used differently in different times. If you're allowed to do it, you should be allowed to do it. If you're not allowed to do it, you should not be allowed to do it. But it all depends. Narice's face said it all. When you saw Narice, it was weird because everybody had a reaction to it, but it also did not look like any of them thought that it was going to be a fight. Compared to the big crowd that was around Melissa when she was having that argument with Berna, there was a big crowd of people that were there like, let's break this up. This one, it was like Ed kind of stood in there after a while, and Ed was kind of like, okay, maybe this could be something, but I don't necessarily think it's something, but just in case, I should probably stand here in the middle. But it seemed like nobody was really in a rush to stop anything. But that was the big thing that happened there. Then we got into this deliberation, and we had a little bit of a part 2, and Raven was still fuming, obviously, about getting a drink thrown in your face. I mean, like, that's, yeah, that escalated. I mean, we don't see the full extent of these arguments, and I'm gonna check. Raven was on live right before I got on here, and I wish I had seen it a little bit earlier. But the ending part of what she said was that she's not used to having problems with people like that, and she's kind of a drama-free person in her regular day-to-day, so it was hard for her to deal with. So yeah, but skipping ahead, we did get to an elimination. Oh, Melissa called her a fake ass bee in the deliberation. So we're in the deliberation, and I think that Big T unanimously got voted to go in. People wanted to break up the duo, and also they were not a pair that had a lot of clout in the game for whatever reason. Surprisingly, for Melissa, it's not as surprising, but for Big T, it's a little surprising because everybody likes Big T for the most part. So I thought she would have a little bit more social clout in the game, but it seems like they just liked her, but nobody was really protecting her. She was kind of saying it was because of Melissa, but still, even with Melissa doing what she's doing, Big T just didn't have numbers for whatever reason. So maybe because they're not scared to piss her off and they think that, you know, they can beat her. I don't know. I don't know what it is. So they both feel like that's the worst case scenario because they're best friends in the house, obviously. So we know by now that every elimination from a certain point has had mercenaries, and I guess it will continue that way. And they can either they pick out of the draw, and one of the options is chaos, where they can pick anyone except for the winners. And then the other two options are the two people that are in there. Devin got to pick chaos last week. So this week, the returning legend was Casey, and she got the most love out of any of these returning champs. Everybody, including Big T and Melissa, were like, oh my God, I love Casey. They were screaming, cheering, clapping. They were so happy to have Casey there as a mercenary. It honestly felt a little strange having Casey there as a mercenary, being somebody who's still so recent, although I guess some of the others are recent as well. Like, you know, Tori, Devin, those people, Kaz. But I don't know. It just feels like Casey has become a modern day staple of today's challenge. So it is what it is. I was like, whoever goes against her, it's gonna be a tough out for them. And then she picks Big T's name, and I'm like, it's a wrap. It is a wrap. I want to get some thoughts about this. So Casey does the draw, picks Big T's name with the draw. And then the game that they're playing is pole wrestle. So I was like, of all the freaking games for Big T to go against Casey in, pole wrestle. So round one, it looks fairly intense. Casey wins. Now, round two, I'm going to be honest here. I can't say what happened or what didn't happen. I wasn't there. But I know that Casey is very good friends with Big T. And I've seen Casey donate around. She donated around to Nanny when they were in that final against each other. So round two, they scrapped, they pulled, and then all of a sudden, Big T just rips the pole out of her hand, and Big T wins round two. And I'm like, I feel like you went a little bit light in that round, because we get to round three, and Casey looks like the Casey I expect her to look like, and rips that thing out of her hand like an animal. And I'm like, you couldn't have done that in round two. She was shaking the stick, yanking it out of her hand. It looked like that ended very quickly compared to the other two rounds. Again, we don't know necessarily because of the edit, but I would take Casey over Big T 999 times out of 1,000 in any physical elimination, but especially this one. But that's neither here nor there, because Casey wins 2-1. She gives this speech about how good Big T is. And I'll give Big T credit, because I used to consider Big T a layup. While I will not say that she's some top tier competitor, I also don't consider her a layup anymore. She is somebody who fights for it, works for it. You know, she did good this season. It's unfortunate, honestly, that she had to go up against Casey. I don't really necessarily think that she would have beaten Melissa either. Let's say if she had to go up against Melissa. It's just the luck of the draw sometimes, no pun intended, the game that you get and the person that you go against. It is what it is. It happens. So Big T goes home, and TJ tells her before she goes home, you know, I hope that you become a champion one day, and I know you can do it. When TJ says nice things, they just warm your heart. But Casey goes home with the 10K. He says, now you can go back to Nani. And so there we are. One down, one more person down, and we're inching closer and closer to where we get some of my favorites. I can't wait personally until Cara Maria. That's my number one mercenary that I want to see. I know that we still have Cara Maria to go. We have CT. We have Brad. We have Darrell. We have Laurel. I guess we probably have a pretty good amount of episodes to go, given that I think that we're going to see all of them. But it was a good episode. It was a dramatic episode. I'm kind of interested to look into. I've been interested for some reason, even though I'm usually not. I've been a little bit interested in the Twitter and Instagram back and forth with this season's cast, because it seems to be messier than usual. So I'm interested to see Melissa's side of that story, to see more of Raven's side of that story. But aside from that, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to next week's episode. And that's my recap for the day. Thank you for joining me. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. Hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. Thank you, everybody, and have an amazing night.